Well, kicking off the Sportsmax Zone with some historic news from the FIFA Women's World Cup. Jamaica Reggae Girlz opened their group campaign with a surprise 0-0 draw against world's number 5 ranked France at the Allianz Stadium in Sydney on Sunday. Head coach Lorne Donaldson described the result as the best ever in Jamaica's football history. And what a performance it was. The Reggae Girlz, ranked 43 in the world, were resolute in defense, and despite their talisman, Khadija Bunny Shaw, being red-carded in the 92nd minute, Jamaica held on, spurred on by a player of the match effort by left-back Tanisha Blackwood.
On behalf of the team, I think everybody, is very proud. Obviously, going into a game like this, everybody expects France to win because they're ranked number 5. But I think we just shocked the world and showed everybody what we can do. So I think we're all proud, and we're just happy that we could get a point out of that game.
All right, so we just heard there from Tanisha Blackwood. But team, we started this show on this note. What a performance from the Jamaica Reggae Girlz. If it's any team that we were expecting Jamaica to suffer a loss to, would be France, based on the rankings and the quality of the players. But what we saw from the Jamaica Reggae Girlz, as we rightfully said in the opening, a resolute team, a team that knew what they were about. It's just unfortunate that we had to lose Khadija Bunny Shaw, and she's a player, when you think about her, you're going to get at least 30 goals a season. You think about Manchester City, you think about her confidence and the way that she walks about the field, she leads the rest of the team. So for me, that's a major hit. But I'll start, Ricardo, by asking you about your thoughts, initial thoughts, when you saw that draw.
Yeah, tactically a very good performance from the Jamaicans. It was always going to be difficult to take on this French team with world-class players trying to go toe-to-toe with them. And so it was always going to be important that this Lorne Donaldson-led team stayed compact in defense, that they held their shape, which I thought they did a very good job of for most of this contest. One of the things that we saw the Jamaicans doing was trying to force the French wide, forcing them to utilize the flanks, making it difficult for them to attack through the middle. And I thought that worked very well for the Jamaicans. And if we look at the stats coming out of that game, with the French moving into the final third of the field on the right flank, they got into that position about 28 times, 29 times on the left, compared to in between, where they had a combined 24 times attacking through the middle. And what the Jamaicans were able to do as well was to deny them getting in a lot of the crosses. So they completed, 12 of the 42 crosses that they attempted. So I thought defensively the Jamaicans did a good job. And just talking about attacking from the wide areas, this is where someone like Tanisha Blackwood came into the game as we have a look at this. So you see France here with 480 passes. So there is no doubt that they dominated the game, both in terms of possession, in terms of the length of time that they held on to the ball for as well. There you go, those 42 crosses, but only 10 of them completed. And that's where I thought the Jamaicans did an excellent job throughout the course of the game. But having said that, I think France would be extremely disappointed that they did not win this game, because they created the opportunities that you think they should have at least taken one. Diani in front of goal had a few of those opportunities and she could not put any of them away. And you have to say that for a team ranked 5 in the world, the French women were disappointing when they got into the attacking third of the field. But you have to give the Jamaicans credit, because they made it very difficult for them. They went out there with a game plan, they played to that game plan, and the final result, a 0-0 draw. Some luck along the way, but sometimes you make your own luck, and that's what happened with the Jamaicans this time around. So a terrific result, a tremendous result. And that 0-0 draw now sets them up, believe it or not, with thoughts, I would think, of advancing out of the group and into the round of 16.
And Lions coach Lorne Donaldson describing the draw as the #1 result in Jamaica that the men or the women had so far. What are your thoughts on what he said?
Well, based on the level, and this is a World Cup, the Jamaicans did score a victory over Japan at the 1998 World Cup, but Japan is no France. Japan in men's football is no France in women's football. So if you look at it from that standpoint, you have to respect what Lon Donaldson says. Having said that, I remember the Jamaica men getting a draw against Brazil in a Gold Cup match, which is a huge competitive confederation level football. So, maybe the men would argue that a draw against Brazil for the men would equal a women's draw against
Do you
the
believe
French.
that though, Lance?
Yes, I do actually. I'm just saying that because this is a World Cup, and in the men's draw with Brazil, it was a CONCACAF Gold Cup, which is not the same as it's not a global tournament.
Yes.
It may lose some marks for that. But strength for strength, pound for pound performance, I'm not sure if I would rank this draw ahead of the Jamaica draw against Brazil in men's football.
What about
but it's debatable.
What was that Brazil team like? Because I know Brazil playing in the CONCACAF Gold Cup tend to go with under 23 setups as opposed to their full strength squads.
It may not have been full strength, but it wasn't an under 23 setup. They had used international star players. It was just ahead of the 98 World Cup, and they had been invited to the CONCACAF Gold Cup as a guest team, so they were using the opportunity to prepare themselves for the World Cup, which was a year later. So, as I said, it's debatable because this performance by the girls was tremendous. The level of heart they showed. And you just mentioned, Ricardo, that the French team would have been disappointed. The pictures, the video, or the cameraman kept going to Harvey Renard, the French coach, a well-established coach, constantly being flustered and irritated by what was happening on the field because what he was seeing wasn't what he expected. He expected France to be scoring, multiple goals against this Jamaica team. So it was very frustrating for the French team not to dominate the Jamaica team in the game, although they dominated in many ways statistically. But you don't win matches without scoring goals. So it was disappointing for them. But a lot of credit to the Jamaican girls. They fought hard. You made the point that the Jamaican strategy was to keep the French team in the wide areas, which made things difficult for the left and right backs. The left back, Denisha Blackwood, was player of the match. Right. The right back, Wilshire, had a difficult time. She struggled, but she worked hard. So the flank defenders for the Jamaica team had a lot of work to do all evening, and it was difficult for them. But they showed a lot of heart.
Yeah, I realize you've moved away from the conversation, Lance, and I want to get back to because
yes.
I am convinced that this is undoubtedly Jamaica's best result in all of football. And for a few reasons. We're talking about, one, the world number 5 ranked France. First of all, we're at the World Cup. This is the biggest stage for the sport. This is the World Cup. This is the first match of the World Cup. You're looking to go out there. You're looking for a strong start. And as world number 5, France would have expected to win this match. In fact, I looked at the predictor going in, and France had a 94% chance of winning this match. Very little chance given to the Reggae Girlz to even get a draw out of this. So you're talking about the world number 5. You're talking about a team that has been to the quarterfinals for the last 3 World Cup tournaments. You're talking about a team that came into this World Cup as one of the favorites to win the title. For me, this has to be the most significant result in Jamaica's footballing history. No matter the age group, no matter the gender, this is for me undoubtedly.
But you used a different word just now. You just said most significant, which isn't what you asked me.
Because I've used several different. Most significant, number 1 result.
But because it's a World Cup, because it's a World Cup, I just conceded that because it's a World Cup, it would probably have the edge because the Jamaica-Brazil men's draw that they had in '97 was a CONCACAF Gold Cup, which isn't World Cup football. But Brazil, just to counter what you just said, were ranked, I think, top 3 in the world at the time because they were the reigning champions, world champions.
Yes.
They won in 1994. So when they played in 1997, they were the World Cup holders. France aren't the World Cup holders in football. But I accept.
But as you pointed out,
yes. It's debatable. I'm saying it's debatable. I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying
as
that.
You pointed out, it was not a full strength Brazil team, and that for me, maybe we need to check what was the strength of that Brazil setup, because that for me makes a whole lot of difference.
It was a strong Brazil team. I cannot tell you the 11 that played. I think Romario played. I cannot tell you the 11 that played, but it wasn't a second string Brazil team. And I would suggest, just before you say that, Mariah, that Brazil's men's team in 1997 would have been a team that had more command and respect than the French women's team today.
Having said that, though, Lance, you are talking about the World Cup. This is a stage where when you get to this stage, the likelihood that you are going to take any team for granted is, in my opinion, extremely low. We're not talking about West Indies cricket here. We're talking about France, serious about winning a Women's World Cup, having been so close in the past by getting to 3 quarterfinals, and they enter this World Cup with thinking about a genuine shot of winning, and they're held by Jamaica in the first match. And when you consider as well, so I've seen comparisons with 1998 and the Reggae Boys beating Japan at the World Cup. You've already pointed out that when you think about Japan in comparison to France, or in comparison to the Brazil that you pointed out in the Gold Cup, no contest there. But also when you think about that, neither team could advance to the round of 16 in that tournament. And that for me also is significant in this tournament, that it's the first match. Everything is still on the line in the tournament, and it makes the result even more significant for me.
Yeah, and I just want to add that, you know, we have to remember, despite everything that we saw on the field, the lead up to this match wasn't very, very pretty. The Jamaica Reggae Girls were basically speaking out. And why I had to mention it, because I didn't really feel it necessary. But today, when I was looking, you know, getting prepared for the show and doing research, that was actually what a lot of the international stations, that was the storyline that they took. Nobody took Jamaica seriously because of what had happened during the lead up. They spoke about us, you know, not being prepared financially versus the bigger, the powerhouses. They spoke about, you know, the players not being very, very settled because the Jamaica Reggae Girls versus the Federation. So there were different storylines which could have affected the girls psychologically. And I felt it was so big of them. I felt so good, all that aside, to see them come out there and show those powerhouse up and on so that they were just as good. For me, that gave me a sense of pride as well. Now that we don't have Khadija Bunny's show, though, we might have something to be worried about. We next play Panama. What are you thinking?
Well, Panama lost their opening game by 4-0 to Brazil. I'm not sure how much to read into that, but I would like to think that we should be able to get the better of Panama without Khadija Bunny-Shaw. Yes, Khadija Bunny-Shaw offers a lot up front, but there are other strikers in that Reggae Girl setup who can score goals as well. We saw that in the qualifying campaign when Bunny-Shaw was not always available and the team was still able to do well. So it wouldn't surprise me that we're able to get the better of Panama without Bunny-Shaw in the setup. It will be important because if we can beat Panama, we will go into that final group game against Brazil with a legit chance of making it to the round of 16.
Things are looking really good. Let's take a break on that note. We'll be right back.